What if we could program living cells just like we program computers? It sounds like something out of science fiction, right? Well, it's not. It's the actual mission of a company called Ginkgo Bioworks. So let's dive in and really explore how they're building this incredible platform to engineer biology on a massive industrial scale. At its core, everything Ginkgo does boils down to this single, powerful idea. For decades, biology has been treated more like an art form than a true engineering discipline. It's been complex, unpredictable. Ginkgo wants to change that, fundamentally. But what does that actually mean, to engineer biology? Well, it all comes down to this field called synthetic biology. The easiest way to think about it is this. DNA is the source code for all life on Earth. Synthetic biology is all about learning to write and edit that code. We're talking about redesigning tiny organisms like yeast or bacteria to get them to produce really specific things we need, anything from life-saving drugs to brand new sustainable materials. So here's how we're going to break it all down today. First, we'll get into what it really means to program biology's code. Then we'll look at the huge bottleneck that's been holding biotech back for years and how Ginkgo's automated factory is their solution. We'll also cover a really important pivot in their business strategy, check out some real-world examples, and finally look ahead to where this is all going, the collision of AI and biology. All right, let's start with that core concept. The whole idea here is to shift from just discovering what nature has already created to actively designing biological systems to do exactly what we need them to do. It's a massive change in thinking. So at a high level, think of Ginkgo as a horizontal platform. That means they don't actually make their own end products, like a new medicine. Instead, they're like a programming service for cells. A partner from, say, the agriculture industry might come to them and say, hey, we need a microbe that can do this very specific thing. And Ginkgo uses its massive platform to design, build, and test thousands of options to find the perfect one. Okay, this sounds amazing, right? So you have to ask, why isn't everyone doing this already? Well, the truth is, for a very long time, R&D in biology has been stuck. It's been super slow, incredibly manual, and just wildly expensive. And that right there, that's the exact problem Ginkgo was founded to solve. This slide just nails the issue perfectly. On the left, you've got the old way of doing things, the traditional lab bench. Sure, it's flexible, you can try lots of different things, what they call high-mix, but it's painfully slow, or low throughput. It's basically artisanal science done by hand. The AI era, on the other hand, demands something completely different. To train powerful AI models for biology, you need a tidal wave of high-quality, standardized data. You have to keep that high-mix flexibility, but also achieve high-throughput scale. You literally have to industrialize the lab itself. And that brings us right to Ginkgo's core innovation. Their answer to that manual bottleneck? It's a highly automated platform for engineering cells that they call the Foundry. The Foundry works in this really elegant four-stage loop. First, they design new cells, pulling from Ginkgo's gigantic library of genetic parts, which they call their Codebase. Then, robots and automation build thousands of different genetic versions. After that, high-throughput systems test all those designs at a massive scale to see which ones actually work. And here's the magic. All of that data gets fed back into AI models to learn, making the next round of designs even smarter. It's a virtuous cycle. Okay, the hardware that makes this all happen is just ingenious. Instead of one giant fixed robotic system, Ginkgo uses these modular carts called reconfigurable automation carts, or racks. Think of them like Lego bricks for the lab. Each one holds a different piece of equipment, and they can be snapped together and rearranged in minutes, not days. This gives the Foundry an unbelievable amount of flexibility. So here's the crucial takeaway. This automation isn't just about going faster. It's about generating those huge, clean, standardized data sets that are the absolute lifeblood of modern AI. Without that data, you can't train the models. This is what finally allows biology to move away from being a one-off bespoke craft and into a truly scalable, predictable engineering field. Now, building a platform like the Foundry is, as you can imagine, incredibly expensive. And in a pretty tough market for biotech companies, Ginkgo has had to be smart and nimble. So in 2024, they made a major strategic pivot, one that's designed to bring in revenue faster and get their tools into more hands. Let's break down how this changes things for them. Originally, Ginkgo's business was all about these huge, long-term solutions partnerships. Think big R&D projects with long sales cycles. where Ginkgo would get paid with milestones and a cut of the final product through royalties. The new tools model is totally different. It's aimed directly at the scientists working at the lab bench, offering straightforward services for a simple fee. The sales happen way faster and the revenue comes in much sooner. So, what's actually in this new toolbox? Well, 3 main things. First, they're now selling their automation hardware, those cool racks, directly to other labs. Second, they have a service called Datapoints, which is basically like a super-powered research service where anyone can send in samples for high-throughput testing. And third, they're selling reagents, things like kits for making proteins, directly to scientists. Okay, so we've covered the tech and the business model. But what is Ginkgo actually doing with all this in the real world? Let's look at a few of their partnerships to make this technology a lot more tangible. And I mean, just look at the sheer breadth of these projects. It's incredible. In agriculture, they're helping Bayer design microbes that can basically create their own fertilizer. That's a potential game changer for sustainability. In pharma, they're helping Merck create special enzymes to make drug manufacturing cheaper and cleaner. For vaccines, they worked with Aldebaran to make a key part of mRNA vaccine production way more efficient. And in biosecurity, they're working with the CDC to build what is essentially a global biological radar to spot the next pandemic before it starts. Now, despite all this amazing progress, let's be realistic. Ginkgo's path forward isn't guaranteed. The whole company is really a massive, high-risk but potentially high-reward bet on this powerful convergence of AI and biology. And you can see the challenges in the financials. The company has definitely faced some serious headwinds. For example, one report pointed to a pretty stark 56% drop in revenue year over year in a recent quarter. That signals that they've had real difficulties getting customers on board in this tough market. However, and this is a big however, they've been smart with their money. As of the middle of 2025, they were sitting on $474 million in cash. That gives them a really strong safety net, a long runway to execute their new strategy without having to go ask for more money when the markets are tight. And their strategy now is laser-focused. After making some aggressive cost cuts and pivoting their business, they have a very clear goal: reach adjusted EBITDA breakeven by the end of 2026. Put simply, that just means getting to a point where their day-to-day operations stop losing money. This is the key milestone that everyone, investors, partners, the whole industry is watching right now. And that brings us right back to where we started. For billions of years, biology has been building the most complex, efficient molecular machines imaginable. Ginkgo is betting everything on the idea that by combining automation, massive amounts of data, and AI, we can finally learn to speak its language. The question isn't whether biology is powerful. We know it is. The real question is, what happens when we can finally truly program it?